5:44 a.m. Sunday morning. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary. The shower room smells like industrial bleach and something darker underneath, something that never washes away. Steam rises in thick clouds. Water hammers against tile. And Raymond, Red, McKinney stands alone under the spray, 6'4", 240 pounds of arrogance and hate, thinking he owns this place. He doesn't hear the footsteps. Not at first. But then the water pressure changes slightly. Someone opened a door. McKinney turns, water still streaming down his face, and sees him standing there in the doorway. Bumpy Johnson. 52 years old. 5'9". 170 pounds. Smiling. That same smile. McKinney reaches for the razor he keeps tucked in the soap dish. His hand moves fast. Former boxer, decades of prison fights, muscles built on violence and cruelty. Not fast enough. What happens next lasts 12 seconds. 12 seconds that will echo through Alcatraz for years. 12 seconds that will redefine power in America's most brutal prison. But to understand those 12 seconds, you need to go back 7 days. March 3, 1957. Bumpy Johnson arrives at Alcatraz on the morning ferry, wrists cuffed, ankles chained, flanked by 4 U.S. Marshals who treat him like he might explode at any moment. The boat cuts through San Francisco Bay, gray water under gray sky, and the rock rises ahead like a gravestone jutting from the sea. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary. The end of the line. Where America sends the men too dangerous, too violent, too incorrigible for any other prison. Al Capone did time here. George Machine Gun Kelly. Robert Stroud, the Birdman. And now Ellsworth Raymond, Bumpy Johnson, Harlem's most feared gangster, the man who controlled the numbers racket in New York City, the man who made white mobsters nervous and corrupt cops rich. His reputation arrived before he did. In the cell blocks, prisoners whisper his name. They know the stories. How Bumpy survived 40 arrests. How he went head-to-head with Dutch Schultz and Lucky Luciano. How he once beat a man so badly with a pipe that witnesses thought they were watching a murder. But Bumpy stopped precisely one blow before death because he wanted the man to remember. Control. Always control. The marshals process him in silence. Strip search. Medical exam. Intake photos. Fingerprints. Cell assignment, Block D, maximum security, Cell 147. They walk him through corridors where every surface is concrete or steel, where sound echoes forever, where 300 men live in cages and the guards carry Thompson submachine guns from catwalks overhead. Bumpy says nothing. Observes everything. The guard unlocking his cell is young, maybe 25, nervous hands fumbling with keys. He's heard the stories too. Guard. Meal rotation in 40 minutes. Keep your head down, don't start nothing, you'll get through. Bumpy looks at him. Doesn't blink. Bumpy. I never start nothing. But I always finish it. The cell door slams. 5 feet by 9 feet. Concrete bed with thin mattress. Toilet and sink combined in one rusted unit. One small window, frosted glass reinforced with wire mesh, showing nothing but gray light. This is where men go insane. This is where the tough guys break. Bumpy sits on the bed. Doesn't lie down. Doesn't pace. Just sits with perfect posture, hands folded, breathing steady. Waiting. At 11:30 a.m., the bell rings for lunch rotation. 300 prisoners file into the cafeteria in perfect silence because talking during transitions earns you solitary confinement. The room is massive, industrial, designed to process bodies efficiently. Long metal tables in rows. Bolted to the floor. Everything here is bolted down or chained up because everything here is a potential weapon. Bumpy gets his tray. Watery soup, bread hard as concrete, something that might be meat but probably isn't. He scans the room with eyes that miss nothing. Every prison has a hierarchy. Every yard has kings and pawns. You find the power structure fast or you become a victim. The white prisoners sit together on the left side. Aryan Brotherhood territory. 20 men, all covered in crude prison tattoos, swastikas and lightning bolts inked with smuggled needles and burnt rubber. They're loud, aggressive, territorial. At the center of their tables sits their leader, Raymond McKinney. Red hair going gray. Face like leather left in the sun too long. Hands scarred from decades of fights. Serving life without parole for killing 3 black men in Alabama in 1949. Former KKK enforcer. Prison shot caller for every white supremacist gang on the rock. The kind of man who sees integration as warfare and every non-white face as an enemy combatant. McKinney notices Bumpy immediately. Everyone does. New arrivals always draw attention because new arrivals mean opportunity. Opportunity to establish dominance. Opportunity to make examples. Bumpy sits alone at a table near the back. Doesn't acknowledge anyone. Eats slowly, methodically, like he's dining at the Waldorf Astoria instead of Hell's Cafeteria. McKinney watches him. Leans to the man next to him, says something. They laugh. It's the laugh of predators who just spotted prey. But Bumpy keeps eating. One spoonful at a time. Never looking up. Never rushing. The black prisoners watch from their section on the right side. 15 men, outnumbered, knowing this moment will define the next months or years. If Bumpy gets challenged and backs down, they all lose status. If he fights back and loses, they all become targets. The math of prison politics is brutal and simple. McKinney stands. 6'4". Muscles built from 20 years of prison weight yards. He doesn't walk to Bumpy's table. He strides. Owns every step. 8 of his gang members follow, boots echoing on tile. The cafeteria goes quiet. Guards on the catwalks notice. Hands move toward weapons. But they don't intervene yet. This is part of the ecosystem. Let the inmates sort hierarchy naturally unless it turns bloody. Saves paperwork. McKinney reaches Bumpy's table. Stands directly across from him. Shadow falling over Bumpy's tray. 8 white gang members fan out around the table, blocking exits, creating an arena. McKinney. You that nigger from Harlem they been talking about? The slur hangs in the air like poison gas. Bumpy continues eating. Doesn't look up. Spoons soup like McKinney doesn't exist. McKinney's face reddens. Being ignored is worse than being challenged. Disrespect cuts deeper than violence. McKinney. I'm talking to you, boy. You deaf or just stupid? Still nothing. Bumpy chews bread. Swallows. Reaches for his water cup. McKinney slams his palm on the table. The metal booms like thunder. Every prisoner flinches except Bumpy. McKinney. Listen here, you black son of a bitch. I run this yard. You eat where I tell you. Sit where I tell you. Breathe when I fucking allow it. You understand me? Bumpy sets down his spoon. Slowly. Deliberately. Then he looks up. Meets McKinney's eyes directly. And smiles. Not a friendly smile. Not an aggressive smile. Something else. Something cold and ancient and knowing. The smile of a man who's seen this movie before and knows exactly how it ends. McKinney mistakes the smile for fear. For weakness. He leans forward, puts his face inches from Bumpy's. McKinney. You think this is funny, boy? You think you're special because you push drugs to niggers in New York? That shit don't mean nothing here. Here you're just another. He spits in Bumpy's food tray. The glob of saliva lands in the soup, floats there, obscene and deliberate. McKinney. Now I want you to stand up. Right here, in front of everybody. I want you to bow your head and apologize to me and every white man in this room for disrespecting us with your presence. The cafeteria is silent. 300 men holding their breath. This is the moment. The test. Every new arrival faces it eventually. You either submit or fight. There's no third option. Bumpy looks at the spit in his food. Looks at McKinney. Looks at the 8 gang members surrounding him. Looks at the guards on catwalks, fingers near triggers, waiting to see blood. Then he stands. Slowly. No sudden movements. Hands visible. Not threatening. Just rising to his full 5'9", dwarfed by McKinney's 6'4", surrounded by enemies, outnumbered 8-1. The black prisoner's tense. This is it. He's going to fight. He's going to get destroyed, but at least he'll go down swinging. But Bumpy doesn't swing. He looks McKinney dead in the eye and speaks for the first time. Voice calm. Quiet. Matter of fact. Bumpy, you just made a choice you can't take back. That's all. One sentence. 11 words. Then he walks away. Not running. Not hurrying. Just walking. Leaves his tray on the table. Walks past the 8 gang members who part slightly, confused by the lack of resistance. Walks toward the exit where guards stand ready to escort prisoners back to cells after meals. Behind him, McKinney's gang erupts in laughter. Howling, mocking laughter. They slap tables, shove each other, celebrate the easy victory. McKinney. That's what I thought. These Harlem niggers all talk. Punk-ass bitch. More laughter. The white prisoners join in, emboldened. Even some of the guards smirk. The legend of Bumpy Johnson just died in an Alcatraz cafeteria, killed by one loogie and some racial slurs. The black prisoners look down at their trays. Defeated. Embarrassed. Their hope for champion just rolled over like a dog. But 3 men in that cafeteria aren't laughing. One is Bumpy himself, walking with that same calm smile, already planning. The second is an old lifer named William Blue Jackson, serving year 32 of a life sentence, who's seen 1,000 prison confrontations and knows the difference between fear and patience. The third is a guard named Robert Hayes, 20-year veteran of Alcatraz, who watched Bumpy's eyes during that exchange and saw something that made his stomach twist. Not fear. Not submission. Calculation. Guard Hayes radios his supervisor that night. Hayes. That new transfer, Johnson. Keep eyes on him. Something's coming. Supervisor. He backed down from McKinney. Probably just another punk who can't back up his reputation. Hayes. Yeah. Maybe. But watch him anyway. That night in cell 147, Bumpy doesn't sleep. He lies on his bunk, eyes open, staring at the ceiling where shadows move in patterns cast by searchlights sweeping the yard outside. His mind works like an engine, processing data, calculating angles. In Harlem, Bumpy Johnson was a king. He ran the numbers. He settled disputes. He kept order in chaos. But he didn't do it through random violence. He did it through strategy. Through patience. Through understanding that true power isn't about being the loudest or the biggest. It's about being the smartest. The most patient. The one who strikes when everyone else thinks the threat has passed. You don't survive 40 arrests by being impulsive. You don't control Harlem by being reckless. You don't earn respect from Lucky Luciano by being stupid. McKinney made a mistake today. He thought Bumpy's smile meant weakness. But in Harlem, they knew that smile. It was the last thing Dutch Schultz's enforcer saw before Bumpy hospitalized him. It was the expression Bumpy wore when he walked into a room of Italian mobsters who threatened his territory and walked out with their apologies. That smile meant, I see you. I understand you. And I'm going to teach you something you'll never forget. March 4th, Day 2. Bumpy wakes at 5 a.m. when the wake-up bell clangs through the cell blocks. He uses the toilet, washes his face in rust-stained water, combs his hair with the prison-issue comb. Meticulous. Controlled. Same routine he maintained in Harlem when he lived in a brownstone and wore tailored suits. Prison tries to break men by stripping away dignity. Bumpy refuses to be stripped. Breakfast rotation. The cafeteria again. McKinney and his gang sit in the same spot, loud and territorial. When Bumpy enters, they point and laugh. Call out slurs. Make exaggerated bowing motions. McKinney. Ayo! It's the Harlem Princess. Gonna run away again today, sweetheart? His gang howls with laughter. Bumpy gets his tray. Oatmeal-like paste. Burnt coffee. Toast that could double as a weapon. He sits at the same table as yesterday. Alone. Eats slowly. Never looks at McKinney's section. This goes on for 6 days. Every meal, McKinney escalates. Throws food at Bumpy's table. Knocks his tray walking past. Organizes his gang to chant slurs in unison when Bumpy enters. The guards do nothing because technically no physical assault occurs. Just psychological warfare. The kind that breaks men slowly from the inside. The black prisoners stop looking at Bumpy. He's a disappointment. A ghost. Irrelevant. The white prisoners grow bolder. If McKinney can humiliate Bumpy Johnson with impunity, they can target any black prisoner. The yard gets uglier. More segregated. More hostile. But Bumpy doesn't react. Doesn't respond. Doesn't even acknowledge the harassment. What he does instead is watch. March 4th through March 9th, 6 days of observation. Bumpy Johnson becomes a student of Raymond McKinney's life. Every morning during the exercise yard rotation, Bumpy stands near the weight pile where McKinney works out. Doesn't lift weights himself. Just stands. Observes. Notes how McKinney benches at 6:15 a.m., does curls at 6:30, finishes with pull-ups at 6:45. Every afternoon during free time in the cell blocks, Bumpy positions himself where he can see McKinney's tier. Notes when guards change shifts. Notes which guards are strict and which are lazy. Notes blind spots in camera coverage. Alcatraz is considered escape-proof, but that doesn't mean it's surveillance perfect. Every evening in the cafeteria, Bumpy watches McKinney's routine. Which gang members sit closest? Who brings extra food from kitchen duty? Who passes cigarettes? The economy of prison power flowing through one man. And every night, Bumpy lies awake, building a map in his mind. McKinney's schedule becomes clear. The man is a creature of habit. 20 years in prison turned him predictable. He wakes at 5:30 a.m. Uses toilet at 5:35. Showers at 5:45 in the Block D shower room, always alone because rank has privileges and McKinney claimed solo shower time years ago. 5:45 a.m. Every single day. 10 minutes alone in the shower before his gang joins him at 5:55. 10 minutes of vulnerability. Bumpy also learns McKinney's personality. The man is arrogant. Believes his size and reputation make him untouchable. Hasn't been seriously challenged in 8 years. The last prisoner who tried ended up in the infirmary for 3 weeks, and McKinney only got 30 days in solitary because the guards couldn't prove who started it. McKinney thinks he's invincible. That's his weakness. On March 7th, Bumpy makes his first move. During lunch, he sits next to a thin, nervous prisoner named Carl Weaver. Carl works supply duty, pushing the cleaning cart through cell blocks, distributing toiletries and linens. Bumpy, you smoke? Carl, startled. What? Bumpy slides 2 packs of cigarettes across the table. Contraband, valuable as gold in Alcatraz. Carl's eyes go wide. Bumpy, I need information. Guard schedules for Block D, Sunday mornings specifically. Carl's hands shake. Man, I can't. McKinney sees me talking to you, I'm dead. Bumpy, McKinney won't be a problem much longer. You help me, you get protection. You don't help me, you get nothing, and I remember you said no. It's not a threat. It's a fact. Delivered in that same calm voice Bumpy used in Harlem when he negotiated territory with mobsters who had 50 guns to his 5. Confidence isn't about volume. It's about certainty. Carl takes the cigarettes. That night, he slips a folded piece of paper into Bumpy's cell during supply rounds. Guard schedule written in shaky handwriting. Sunday mornings, Block D has minimal coverage. 2 guards instead of 4. Shift change happens at 6 a.m. Between 5:50 and 6:05, there's a 15-minute window where coverage overlaps and guards are distracted signing logbooks. Perfect. On March 8th, Bumpy acquires a weapon. Not difficult in prison. Everything is a weapon if you're creative enough. During recycling time, he finds a spoon discarded near the trash area. Stainless steel. Thin handle. He palms it, walks back to his cell, spends the evening sharpening the handle against the concrete floor of his cell. Slowly. Quietly. The metal scrapes soft enough that guards passing his cell hear nothing unusual. By midnight, the spoon handle is a 4-inch spike. Crude but effective. He wipes it clean, wraps it in a torn piece of sheet, tucks it into a bar of soap. Concealed. Ready. On March 9th, Bumpy has everything he needs. Weapon. Schedule. Target routine. Now he just needs opportunity. That night at dinner, McKinney is particularly aggressive. He walks directly to Bumpy's table, picks up Bumpy's tray, dumps the entire thing on the floor. McKinney. Oops. Clumsy me. Better clean that up, boy. His gang surrounds Bumpy. 8 men. All grinning. All expecting submission. Bumpy looks at the food on the floor. Looks at McKinney. And smiles. That same smile. McKinney's grin falters for just a second. Just a flicker. Because something in Bumpy's eyes doesn't match the situation. It's not the look of a defeated man. It's the look of a man counting down to something. But McKinney shakes it off. He's too deep in his own mythology. Too convinced of his power. McKinney. You got something to say, Johnson? Bumpy stands. Calmly. Looks McKinney in the eye. Bumpy. Enjoy your evening. Then he walks away. Again. For the 6th time in 6 days. McKinney's gang laughs. The cafeteria relaxes. Just another humiliation. Another day, another victory for Red McKinney. But Blue Jackson, the old lifer who's been watching this play out, sees Bumpy's face as he leaves. Sees that smile. And Blue knows. He's seen this before. 40 years in prison teaches you to read men. And what Blue reads in Bumpy Johnson's smile is certainty. Something is going to happen. Soon. That night, Bumpy doesn't sleep. He lies in his bunk fully clothed, waiting for the wake-up bell. His heart rate stays steady. His breathing stays calm. This is what separates men like Bumpy from men like McKinney. McKinney is a brawler. Big, loud, impulsive. Bumpy is a strategist. Every move calculated. Every risk assessed. In Harlem, when Dutch Schultz's crew tried to muscle into Bumpy's territory, Bumpy didn't confront them in the street. He waited. Learned their routines. Found their weakness. Then struck in the early morning when they least expected it. One enforcer hospitalized. One enforcer scared into leaving town. Message sent. Problem solved. That's how you control a neighborhood. That's how you survive in a world where everyone wants to take what's yours. You don't react. You respond. And there's a difference. Reaction is emotion. Response is strategy. March 10th, Sunday morning. 5 a.m. The wake-up bell rings through Alcatraz like a scream. 300 men wake in their cages. Bumpy is already awake. He's been awake for hours. He washes his face. Uses the toilet. Combs his hair. Same routine. Normal morning. Nothing unusual. Guards walking the tiers see nothing suspicious. 5:30 a.m. Cell doors unlock for morning routine. Prisoners shuffle toward bathrooms and showers. Sunday morning is quieter than weekdays. No work assignments. No mandatory activities until breakfast at 7 o'clock. Many prisoners sleep in. Guards relax slightly. The routine of Sunday dulls attention. 5:40 a.m. Bumpy leaves his cell. Walks toward the Block D shower room. Carries his towel, his soap bar, his toothbrush. Everything a man needs for a normal morning shower. Inside the soap bar, wrapped in fabric, hidden from casual observation, is the sharpened spoon handle. The corridor is empty. Most prisoners are still asleep. 2 guards are visible, 50 yards away near the guard station, drinking coffee, talking about last night's radio show. They glance at Bumpy, see nothing unusual, return to their conversation. 5:43 a.m. Bumpy reaches the shower room entrance. The door is old metal, reinforced but rusted around the hinges. He can hear water running inside. One shower. Only one. McKinney. Right on schedule. Predictable. Arrogant. Alone. Bumpy stands outside the door for 30 seconds. Not hesitating. Just listening. Making sure. Confirming what he already knows. One shower. No voices. No footsteps. Just water hitting tile and one man humming to himself. 5:44 a.m. Bumpy pushes open the door. The hinges creak, but the sound is swallowed by the water noise. Steam fills the room, thick and hot, smelling like industrial soap and mildew. The shower area is large, 20 shower heads in 2 rows, but only one is running. McKinney stands under the spray, back to the door, head tilted back, water streaming down his muscular frame. He's humming some country song, off-key, relaxed. This is his time. His domain. No one bothers him here. Bumpy walks forward. Soft steps. 5 feet. 10 feet. 15. The water pressure changes slightly. Air current shifts when the door opened. McKinney stops humming. Turns. Sees Bumpy standing there, 20 feet away, smiling. That smile. For a full second, either man moves. They just look at each other. McKinney's brain processing the impossibility of this moment. Bumpy Johnson, the man who's been running away for 6 days, standing in McKinney's private shower space before dawn. Then McKinney's face shifts. Confusion becomes anger. Anger becomes violence. McKinney, you got a death wish, nigger? His hand shoots toward the soap dish built into the wall. He keeps a razor there. Homemade blade, sharp enough to cut deep. He's used it before. Every prison king has a weapon close. His fingers wrap around the razor handle. But Bumpy is already moving. 52 years old. Decades of Harlem street fights. Decades of staying alive in a world where death comes fast. Bumpy's not big like McKinney. Doesn't have those prison yard muscles. But he has speed. Experience. An absolute commitment. He crosses the 20 feet in 3 seconds. McKinney pulls the razor, turns to face him, starts to raise the blade. Not fast enough. Bumpy's left hand shoots out, grabs McKinney's razor wrist, twists hard. The leverage is perfect. McKinney's fingers spasm. The razor clatters to the wet floor. McKinney throws a right hook with his free hand. It's a powerful punch, 240 pounds of muscle behind it. If it connects, it ends the fight. Bumpy's skull cracks, Bumpy goes down, McKinney stomps him to death. But it doesn't connect. Bumpy ducks under the punch, steps inside McKinney's reach, and in one fluid motion, pulls the sharpened spoon handle from his soap bar with his right hand. McKinney realizes too late. His eyes go wide. He tries to back up, slips on wet tile, stumbles. Bumpy doesn't hesitate. Doesn't give speeches. Doesn't gloat. This isn't about ego. It's about message. He drives the spike toward McKinney's face. McKinney throws up his hands, catches Bumpy's wrist with both hands. For a moment they're frozen in that position. Strength versus leverage. McKinney is bigger, stronger. He forces the spike away from his face, muscles bulging, tendons standing out on his neck. But Bumpy isn't trying to overpower him. He's redirecting. Bumpy pivots, uses McKinney's own force against him, and redirects the spike 6 inches to the left. Away from McKinney's nose. Toward McKinney's right eye. McKinney understands a half-second before it happens. Opens his mouth to scream. The sharpened spoon handle punctures McKinney's right eyeball at 5:44 and 37 seconds a.m. The scream comes then. High-pitched, inhuman, the sound of a man experiencing agony beyond comprehension. The spike penetrates the eyeball, ruptures the lens, destroys the optic nerve, travels 3 inches into the socket before Bumpy pulls it back out. Blood and fluid pour down McKinney's face. He stumbles backward, hands flying to his destroyed eye, still screaming, slips on the wet floor, crashes into the tile wall, collapses into a sitting position under the still-running shower. Water mixes with blood, turns pink, swirls down the drain. Bumpy stands over him. The spike in his hand drips. His expression hasn't changed. Still calm. Still controlled. McKinney clutches his face, blood seeping between his fingers, one eye ruined, The other wide with shock and pain, looking up at Bumpy with something he hasn't felt in 20 years. Fear. Bumpy crouches down. Gets close. Speaks quietly under the sound of running water and screaming. Bumpy. You remember the cafeteria? I do. McKinney can't respond. Just shakes, goes into shock, body trembling violently. Bumpy stands. Looks at McKinney's left eye, the one still intact, the one that can still see. Bumpy. That eye stays. So you can remember. Every time you look in a mirror. Every time someone stares at your face. You'll remember the man who smiled at you. He walks to the sink area. Washes the spike carefully, removes all blood, wraps it back in the soap bar. Washes his hands. Methodical. Thorough. No rush. Behind him, McKinney's screams weaken into sobs. Bumpy checks his clothes. No blood. The angle of attack kept the spray away from him. Planned. Calculated. Nothing left to chance. 5:45 a.m. Elapsed time from entering the shower room to completing the task. 12 seconds of actual confrontation. 90 seconds total including cleanup. Bumpy walks to the door, opens it, steps into the corridor. Empty. The guards are still at their station, 50 yards away, haven't heard anything over the ambient noise of the prison waking up. Bumpy walks back to his cell. Same calm pace. Same neutral expression. Puts his soap bar and towel on his bunk. Sits down. Folds his hands. Waits. 5:47 a.m. Another prisoner enters the shower room. Sees McKinney collapsed under the spray, blood everywhere, one eye destroyed. The prisoner runs out screaming for guards. 5:48 a.m. Alarms blare. Guards flood the shower area. They find McKinney in shock, barely conscious, right eye socket a ruined mess. They call for medical. Lockdown protocols activate. All prisoners ordered back to cells immediately. 5:52 a.m. Prison medics rush McKinney out on a stretcher. He's still conscious, moaning, delirious. They stabilize him enough to transport to the prison hospital on the mainland. He'll live. The I won't. 6 a.m. Warden Thomas Swope arrives at the crime scene. 20-year veteran of the prison system. He's seen stabbings, beatings, murders. But this is different. This is surgical. One eye destroyed, the other untouched. This isn't random violence. This is a statement. Warden. Who found him? Guard. Prisoner named Collins. Went in for morning shower, saw the blood. Warden. Who was in that cell block at the time? Guard. 37 prisoners. It's Block D. They got morning routine freedom on Sundays. Warden. Start interviewing. Someone saw something. But nobody saw anything. 37 prisoners, all claiming they were in their cells, all with convenient alibis. The code of prison silence is absolute. You don't talk to guards. Ever. Even if you hate the victim. Especially if you hate the victim. The guards focused their investigation on Bumpy Johnson immediately. He's the obvious suspect. McKinney humiliated him publicly for 6 days. Motive is clear. Opportunity is clear. But proof is missing. They search Bumpy's cell. Find nothing. No weapon. No bloody clothes. Nothing. They interrogate Bumpy. He sits in the small concrete room with 2 guards and the warden, expression neutral, hands folded. Warden. Where were you at 5:44 this morning? Bumpy. My cell. Warden. Can anyone confirm that? Bumpy. The prisoner in the cell next to mine. And the one across the tier. They saw me. The guards interview those prisoners. Both confirm Bumpy's story. Say they saw him in his cell during morning routine. They're lying. Everyone knows they're lying. But you can't prove it. Warden. You have any problems with Raymond McKinney? Bumpy. I don't have problems with anyone. I keep to myself. Warden. He's been harassing you for 6 days. Everyone in the cafeteria saw it. Bumpy. Men say things. Words don't hurt me. Warden. Someone took his eye. Bumpy. I heard. That's unfortunate. The word choice is perfect. Unfortunate. Not terrible. Not shocking. Unfortunate. Like commenting on weather. The guards have nothing. No weapon. No witnesses. No physical evidence. Bumpy's hands have no cuts, no bruises, no signs of struggle. His clothes are clean. His cell is clean. They put him in solitary anyway. Standard procedure during investigations. 72 hours in the hole while they try to build a case. Bumpy doesn't mind. Solitary is quiet. Peaceful. He sits in the darkness and waits for what comes next. March 11th, Monday. McKinney returns from the mainland hospital. Right eye bandaged, socket packed with gauze, sedated with morphine. The doctors did what they could. The eye itself is gone, destroyed beyond any possibility of repair. They cleaned the wound, prevented infection, fitted him with a temporary patch. He'll wear that patch for the rest of his life. The guards try to interview him, find out who attacked him. McKinney refuses to talk. Just lies in his prison hospital bed, staring at the ceiling with his remaining eye, saying nothing. The code applies to him too. You don't snitch. Ever. Even if someone takes your eye. Especially if someone takes your eye and you're a prison shot caller. If McKinney tells the guards it was Bumpy, he admits he couldn't protect himself. Admits he got beaten. Loses all authority. Better to stay silent and let the prison think he's tough enough to handle it internally. But McKinney knows. And everyone else knows. And that knowing is the point. March 13th, Wednesday. Bumpy is released from solitary. Insufficient evidence. The warden knows Bumpy did it. The guards know Bumpy did it. But knowing and proving are different things. Bumpy returns to Block D, walks to his cell. Unpacks his few belongings. Doesn't speak to anyone. That afternoon, the yard opens for exercise rotation. 300 prisoners file out into the gray sunlight. Bumpy walks to the same spot he stood before, near the weight pile, neutral territory. The black prisoners watch him differently now. Not with disappointment. With respect. With something close to awe. Words spread fast in prison. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows who did it. The white prisoners watch him differently too. Not with mockery. With caution. With the sudden realization that the man they thought was weak is actually the most dangerous person on the rock. And McKinney's gang watches with confusion. Their leader is in the hospital. Their hierarchy is shattered. 8 men who thought they were untouchable suddenly feel very touchable. March 15th, Friday. McKinney returns to general population. Face bandaged. Right eye covered with a black patch. Walking slowly, carefully, like a man who just learned he can be hurt. He enters the cell block. Prisoners part to let him through. Not out of respect. Out of discomfort. He's been marked. Changed. Reduced. McKinney walks to his cell. Doesn't look at anyone. Doesn't speak. Just disappears inside and closes the bars. March 17th, Sunday. 1 week after the incident. Breakfast in the cafeteria. McKinney enters with his gang. They sit at their usual table. But something is different. McKinney isn't loud. Isn't aggressive. He sits with his back to the wall, constantly scanning the room with his one remaining eye. Bumpy enters. Gets his tray. The cafeteria goes quiet. Everyone watches. Bumpy walks to a table. Sits. Starts eating. McKinney stares at him. One eye. Just one now. That eye finds Bumpy across the cafeteria. Holds the gaze for 5 seconds. Bumpy looks up. Meets that one-eyed stare. And smiles. The same smile. McKinney looks away. Immediately. Drops his gaze to his tray. Doesn't look up again for the rest of the meal. The power shift is complete. Visible. Undeniable. Blue Jackson, the old lifer, watches this exchange from 3 tables away. He's seen 1,000 prison hierarchies rise and fall. He's seen men kill for respect and die for pride. But he's rarely seen something this clean. This perfect. 1 act. 12 seconds. 1 eye. Message sent. Message received. Hierarchy re-established. That night, Blue approaches Bumpy during free time. Blue. You calculated all of that, didn't you? The waiting. The timing. The eye. Bumpy doesn't answer directly. Just looks at Blue with those calm, intelligent eyes. Bumpy. In Harlem, we had a saying. Every dog barks. Only wolves know when to bite. Blue nods. Understands. Walks away. The weeks that follow see a complete transformation of Alcatraz's power dynamics. McKinney's Aryan gang fractures. Some members pledge loyalty to other shot callers. Some just keep their heads down. McKinney himself becomes a ghost. No more cafeteria confrontations. No more racial slurs. He eats quietly, exercises alone, avoids eye contact with everyone. The white prisoners who once followed McKinney's lead now give black prisoners space. Not out of progressive enlightenment. Out of pragmatic fear. If Bumpy Johnson can take Raymond McKinney's eye with surgical precision and walk away clean, what can he do to them? The black prisoners gain protection through proximity to Bumpy. He doesn't organize them into a gang. Doesn't demand loyalty or tribute. Just exists as a shield. His reputation is enough. Mess with one, you might face all. And none of them want to face Bumpy. The guards notice the change. Violence decreases. Racial tensions ease. The yard becomes more manageable. Warden Swope notes it in his reports. He still suspects Bumpy orchestrated everything. But the result is a more stable prison. So he lets it lie. April 1957. 1 month after the incident. Interview with prisoner William Jackson, conducted by prison psychologist Dr. Emil Rosen. Dr. Rosen. You've been here 32 years. You've seen the prison evolve. What's different now? Blue. One man. That's what's different. Dr. Rosen. Bumpy Johnson. Blue. You know what makes a man powerful in prison, Doc? It ain't size. It ain't violence. It's certainty. McKinney was violent but unpredictable. You never knew when he'd snap. That makes him dangerous but not respected. Bumpy, he's different. He told McKinney exactly what would happen. Then he made it happen. No rage. No chaos. Just consequence. That's power. Dr. Rosen. Do you think Johnson is a good influence on the prison population? Blue. Good? That's your word, not mine. I think he's a necessary influence. Prison is war. Every day. Every meal. Every shower. You need someone who understands the rules of war and follows them. Bumpy follows rules. His rules. But rules. That creates order. Order is what keeps 300 men from killing each other. Dr. Rosen. And McKinney? Blue. McKinney learned. Some men never learn. He did. That's his only fortune. June 1957. 3 months post-incident. McKinney's eye wound has healed into a puckered scar around the empty socket. He wears the black patch permanently now. His face has aged a decade in 3 months. Lines around his mouth. Gray in his beard. The arrogance is gone. Replaced with something quieter. Survivor's caution. One afternoon in the yard, a younger white prisoner, new transfer, doesn't know the history. Sees McKinney and approaches. New prisoner. You McKinney? Heard you run the white guys here. I got a problem with. McKinney cuts him off. McKinney. I don't run nothing. Keep your head down. Do your time. Leave me alone. Walks away. The new prisoner stands there, confused. Didn't get the memo. The era of Raymond McKinney is over. September 1957. 6 months later. Bumpy Johnson has served his time on Alcatraz and is being transferred to Leavenworth. His Alcatraz sentence is complete. The morning he leaves, prisoners watch from cell windows as guards escort him to the ferry. McKinney watches from his cell. One eye. That patch over the other. He doesn't wave. Doesn't speak. Just watches. And in that watching is a kind of relief. The man who destroyed his dominance is leaving. Maybe life can return to something resembling normal. But it won't. Because the story of Bumpy Johnson taking Raymond McKinney's eye has already spread beyond Alcatraz. It's traveled to Leavenworth, to Attica, to San Quentin. Every prison in America knows the story now. And every prisoner who hears it learns the same lesson. Respect isn't given. It's taken. And patience is the deadliest weapon. Bumpy boards the ferry, hands cuffed, flanked by marshals. He looks back at the rock one time. Doesn't smile. Just looks. Then turns and walks onto the boat. Behind him, Alcatraz returns to its routine. Guards change shifts. Prisoners eat breakfast. Life continues. But the men inside will tell the story for decades. The story of how Harlem's king came to Hell's prison and in 12 seconds redefined power. McKinney serves another 16 years at Alcatraz until the prison closes in 1963. He's transferred to Leavenworth, then to Marion. Dies in 1974 at age 63. Heart attack. Quiet death in a prison cell. The obituary, if you can call a 2-sentence prison record an obituary, notes his conviction and sentence. Doesn't mention the eye. But every prisoner who served with him after 1957 remembers. That patch. That scar. That moment when Raymond Red McKinney learned that fear doesn't care about size or color or affiliations. Fear only cares about capability. And Bumpy Johnson was the most capable man McKinney ever met. Bumpy Johnson leaves prison in 1963. Returns to Harlem. Resumes control of his territory. Works with the Italian mobs. Mentors a young enforcer named Frank Lucas. Lives another 5 years as one of the most powerful men in New York's underworld. He dies in 1968 at Wells Restaurant in Harlem. Heart attack. Quick death. Some say lucky, considering the life he lived. His funeral draws thousands. Gangsters. Politicians. Community members. People whose lives he touched in ways legal and illegal. The line to pay respects stretches 7 blocks. At the funeral, an old man approaches the casket. White hair. Weathered face. Black patch over his right eye. He stands there for 30 seconds, looking at Bumpy's body. Doesn't say a prayer. Doesn't cry. Just looks. Then turns and walks away. No one knows how Raymond McKinney got out of prison to attend. No one asks? Some moments transcend rules. Some debts require acknowledgement. Whether that acknowledgement is respect or relief or something more complicated, only McKinney knows. And he never tells. So let's talk about what this story really means. Because it's not just about prison violence. It's not just about revenge. It's about something deeper that applies whether you're in Alcatraz or in a corporate office or in your own life. Respect. How do you earn it? How do you keep it? What do you do when someone tries to take it from you? Bumpy Johnson had a choice in that cafeteria. Fight immediately and probably lose against 8 men. Run and lose respect forever. Or wait. Plan. Respond strategically. He chose strategy. And that choice changed everything. Was it justice? Was it revenge? Was it necessary? Those are questions you have to answer for yourself. But here's the real question. When someone disrespects you publicly, humiliates you repeatedly, crosses lines that shouldn't be crossed, what's the right response? Bumpy's answer was clear. Patient. Precise. Unforgettable. Raymond McKinney's answer was pain. Permanent pain. Which answer is right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Bumpy Johnson justified? Was this self-defense in a brutal environment where guards wouldn't protect him? Or did he go too far? There's no easy answer. That's what makes it real. If you value stories like this, stories that don't sugarcoat history, stories that show you the brutal truth about power and respect and survival, hit that subscribe button. We're bringing you the untold stories every week. The moments that didn't make textbooks. The decisions that changed lives. The truths that make you uncomfortable. Because comfort doesn't teach. Discomfort does. And this story should make you uncomfortable. It should make you think. It should make you question what you do in that situation. That's the point. Rest in Power, Ellsworth Raymond, Bumpy Johnson. 1905 to 1968. Harlem legend. Alcatraz survivor. The man who proved that true power doesn't roar. It smiles. And then it acts.